Welcome to the Real Trash Podcast. Um, it is hosted by Noah James Markham. Aloha, everybody. Um, and welcome to our podcast. We will be talking about topics from mental health to our lives. We will make sure that the topics are trashy. So any kind of topic from social media, from the news, from um, for anything from celebrities. We will be talking about that on our podcast. Um, and yes, I have disabilities. I haven't told you that. My name is Noah James Markham. I have disabilities, and yeah, I've been born with hard of hearing, and I was diagnosed later on with autism, in the autistic on the autistic spectrum, later on in my life. So it's really cool to that's a main topic of my um the one of the main topics. We're going to be talking about that a lot, because I like anybody coming to my podcast. Um, I want to help people out there that don't feel like they belong, and if they are having mental health problems, you're not the only one that is struggling through that. So you're not alone in this process. And yeah, we welcome people from the LGBTQ community to be on this live too, and also Black Lives Matters people. Yes, we support that too. So yes, let's get into this today on the first podcast today, and yeah, welcome to the Real Trust podcasted by Noah James Markham. Aloha, everybody. Welcome to the first episode ever of the Real Trash Podcast. This is your host, Noah James Markham, and I'm so excited to be with you guys. Today, we're going to be talking about more of an intro into my life, um, and get to know a little bit better of my life today on this intro. I was born in Honolulu, Hawaii. I was born there, on a small island. My city is Kailua. That I was raised up in Hawaii. Yeah, so I don't currently live in Hawaii anymore, but um, I am Hawaiian, and I'm so excited to be with you because I don't really know if there's a lot of podcasters that are from Hawaii. So I'm one of those podcasters that's from Hawaii. Also, I moved here to Arizona in 2008. I've been through a lot of things. I've been through CPS in my life. I've been through a lot of abuse in my life, and it is what it is in my life. I think I think that's a lot of traits in a lot of people's families. And then we moved up here in 2008. That was a crazy time. There's so much circulation around how we moved up here. Um, my dad says, "Oh, well, we weren't gonna move," but that's the problem when you're in such an abusive relationship. Nobody's gonna agree on the subject. There's gonna be some kind of lie. I didn't do that. I didn't do this. I didn't do that. So that's been my whole life is growing up with parents like that. Um, but I love my parents. I can't change them in any way. But I want you guys to know that you guys are not alone in this process. Of, so you are welcome to this podcast. Um, and yes, I am excited to be on this journey with you because I've been actually really wanting to start a podcast. I did it with somebody, but I was like, let's just not do it with that person because this person um, mm, yeah, there was just things that happened. Let's just get into more detail about that. Yeah, so I grew up here in Arizona from 2008 to 2024. I'm still here in Arizona. But yeah, so um, I lived with my family for a while. You know, there was so much abuse. I had homelessness through my life. So yeah, I know how it feels to be homeless. So if you're out there homeless, don't feel like you're the only one out there that's struggling with that. Because I've been through it. Also, what else did I talk about? Yeah, I have my own addiction problems that I have dealt with through my life, through the younger ages. Um, and yeah, that really affected my life when I was young. And I didn't know how to figure out things in my life at that time. And so I became gay at a certain age of my life. I think it was eighth, ninth grade. I came out to my parents at that time, um, and I came out to my sisters. I have six sisters. I didn't know if you knew that yet, but yes, I have six sisters too. They're not all biological, but I have a few biological, and then the others are stepsisters also. Yeah, so yeah, I became gay at an early age. I mean, and I think it's more in middle school, high school. I went through that stage. Um and right now I'm not gay. I'll say that I'm not gay anymore, but I know how it feels to feel that feeling of not trying to go back to that feeling again. It's not that easy as people think it is. And yeah, so I came out to my parents at the time. There was a lot of abuse in my family, but luckily my parents accepted me. I don't know if you hear those stories all the time that, somebody accepted them for that, whatever. Um, and then later on in my life, because I couldn't deal with all the abuse and the trauma from my parents and always arguing with each other. Somebody took me in. She went to my church for a while. And then I would see them at my church. Then I would see them at my apartment. So I was like, you know what? Let me just ask them if they'll take me in. And so they took me in. Thankfully, they took me in, and that was really nice of them to take me in. And yeah, I was ecstatic. I was thankful because they understood my story that I was dealing with a lot of things at my house, But at the time, I had made bad decisions at the time before, all of this stuff was happening. So I made those choices and it kind of got bad that way. So that was my fault for doing that. But also I was a young kid, so you have a different brain where you're younger. It's harder, you think it's just different when you're younger. And yeah, so I they took me in. Thankfully, they took me in. But it was back and forth because the people I lived with too that took me in, they were another trauma of mine. But I had to get away from one trauma or the other. So, I had those addictions and stuff like that. And that was how you got away from both of the traumas at the time. I'm going into and this is the intro of Noah James Markham. Um, and yeah, so I had these their family. They took me and I thought it was good. They wouldn't help me. They would they would say some stuff that was just not cool. And dealing with disabilities my whole life. You don't know anything different. My life has been this way since I was born, and you just deal with it and go on with your life. And that's a topic I'm going to be talking about a lot because I think this is something that people need to talk about. Um, with disabilities, um, in the eye of somebody that was born with a disability. I didn't just come into this world and then all of a sudden later on in my life, I got a disability. I was born with it. I had to deal with it. Um, my parents, my father wasn't a great role model to the disability world and still isn't the best role model um, to that world. Or if we talk about it, he doesn't really understand it. But my mother has been the role model of my life, um, the woman power of my life. And she's always been there for my life. No matter what was going on, she couldn't work because she had to help us with our disabilities. So the woman had to take control to help us out in life. Even though we had these fussy days, we didn't want to go to school. We didn't want to do things because it was so frustrating to go to school and have to learn and adapt to the the situations that it's hard for us to adapt to as a disability person. It wasn't that easy to just adapt to life. I mean, it took me a long time in life to learn um, all this stuff. It took me a long time to talk like this. I had to go to speech therapy every week. I did not want to do that because I felt so embarrassed to do that. And my mom would tell me to wear my hearing aids. Now I wear my hearing aids now all the time because I understand what people were telling me in school, but I didn't understand at the time. But now as I'm growing later and I'm understanding that there's a lot of people out there that do not understand what you are going through and they don't care to understand. And they will bring you down and tell you things about your disabilities that, you know what, you're crazy. And, your disability, that makes you crazier and da da da. You hear those things all the time. Um, and it's a trait of mine. I'm proud of who I am with hard of hearing. I also know sign language, and my best friend for a long time since I moved up here from Arizona. I've known her for a long time. She's deaf. She has a fiance, and she has a kid of hers now that's hard of hearing. So it's a 360 to have that in my life. Um, and she's been the best friend of mine, no matter if we separated um, after elementary. But she's always been that support in my life. Um, Whatever is going on, she still texted me. Whatever it is, we always connected to stay close in the times. Whatever it was through high school, middle school, because I didn't get to see her through middle school, high school, because I didn't have that money. My mom and dad were always struggling with money. That was a big thing of mine. We would always struggle with money. That was a big thing of my family. So I never knew if I would have a ride to practice, to go to practice. Excuse me. I didn't know if I would have a ride to practice at all, or I never knew if I would have a car to go to practice at all, or I would never know if I would have a house to go sleep in after school, or have running water, or if I would have the heater going on in my house, or if I would have Wi-Fi in the so there's all these things that I would have to worry about as a kid, and then you have the trauma to deal with. So my second home was the place to be. And then you're dealing with disabilities on top of that. So that was big, and I deal with them every day. So don't worry. And there is rude disabled people out there too. Don't worry about if you think there isn't rude ones, you can throw the trash to that one and be like, there is nice ones like me out there, that we are kind about these things. And you can talk to us about these things and understand it more, because there's a lot of disabled people that I can't, I'm gonna say the trash to that part too is they they like to they act about it. When somebody tells you about it, they start changing their ways or they start acting a little differently, try to act dumber about it. They try to feel sorry about it. I said, you don't have to feel sorry for me. It's the way who I am, and I'm proud of it. So you can't change anything about that. But I will throw the trash to anybody that throw that trash. If anybody's trying to put you down on disability or they're trying to make up their disability or they're just making fun of you, it's I I've always been different in my life. Um, and as you can see, I'm a Disney fan too. So yeah, I love Disney. So if you talk about Disney and you talk about them trashically, bad things about Disney, we're gonna throw that in the trash too because Disney is my favorite. My favorite character is Stitch. I like Stitch because he's Stitch, Lilo and Stitch. I love them. And then this is my second right here is Mickey. I love Mickey. He always has a smiling face because you don't really see a lot of people like that out there in the world that are smiling and with their smiley faces like that. You don't see that in the world so much anymore because they want to tear people down. But I don't want this podcast to be like that. I want to bring people up. I want people to come to this podcast and feel welcome and safe to be able to come to this podcast. Also, yeah, so let's get back to the subject about my second family that I so they took me in for a long time if I ever had problems with my with my other family, my real biological family I had. Um, they took me in, that was it, and I had problems there too. Um, I was used to taking a shower all the time with my biological family, but you would just hear things like, "You can't take a shower because you're taking too long of a shower," or "You can't take a shower because why do you need to take a shower? You could take a shower tomorrow." And that was the thing I was here, but I didn't like that because you grew up with taking a shower, um, and these people were white. It was nice, but they were white. They were very different. They were Southern. They're from Kentucky. Um, they they ruled they were a little differently. Southern. Um, and you take me in as a child, okay? I'm a child at the time, and I am still trying to figure out like I can't take a shower in your own house, and I'm still young. Like I'm over here, like I'm not even a grown adult yet. Um, and so there was problems with the food too. The food was another big problem of ours in the family, in my second family. Um, I could never eat the food in the house. Apparently, that was another thing in my life that they wouldn't let me eat the food in the house. And I was still a child at the time, so I'm like, hmm, this is interesting to me too, because I'm like, oh, okay. Or they would be picky about the food that I would eat in the house. So that was crazy to me. The pickiness of I'm a child. I'm like, what the heck? So I couldn't go in there and just eat anything I wanted to eat in the house. It wasn't like that. I had to ask my mother and father for food to bring to the house so I could eat that food because I couldn't eat their food at all. It was no to them. It was no 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 no. You can't eat the food in the house, but you need to sweep, mop, do all this stuff. But you're not gonna have the food. So I was like, what the heck is going on with this? This is a crazy. This is just so crazy how I take showers. They knew that from the beginning. I take showers. I I'm a young child. How am I supposed to function? Then I have all this. So it was crazy to deal with that stuff. And they would talk about this stuff with disability stuff a lot. Um, and they would tell me things like they would say, you don't need to think about this. You don't not need to tell anybody about this. You do not need to, they would be really strict about it. And every year, every month, I would tell them about this stuff. And I say, I have disability. I have this, I have hard of hearing, and I have autism. The thing that you would say all the time to me every month, they would say, why don't you get hearing aids? And I had no money at the time. Why don't you get hearing aids? Why don't you know how to just put your hearing aids on and just listen the first time? They would tell me the first, didn't you hear me the first time? That was always the response to them. Didn't you hear me the first time? Why don't you just listen to us the first time? I got to keep on repeating myself. Why do I have to keep on repeating myself? That was the subject about that all the time, is they would tell me that all the time. You would say that every single day, every single month. And I lived with that for years. So it was it was like I needed somewhere in a peace, but I never had the peace on either side of it. And it was just crazy to be able to deal with it and stay stronger to who I am today. But I still struggle with these mental health issues now because I'm older. But at the time, I had to deal with all that trauma as a young kid, so I didn't know where I was going to go half the time. I didn't know if I was going to have a car. I didn't know if I was going to have a ride anywhere. I didn't know if I was going to have food. I didn't know if I was going to take a shower. I didn't know these things at all as a kid. And as being a disabled child, it gets even worse because you're trying to learn everything at school with your head. You're trying to hear things that other people can't hear, that I didn't wasn't wearing my hearing aids at the time. So and another thing I had is I love tennis. If you guys didn't know that, so that really kept me in strong. The motivation is playing tennis in my life. So if you are tennis fans out there, I am a huge fanatic. I love my favorite women players are Serena Williams, Venus Williams. They are my favorite of all time. And then now I love Naomi Osaka. She is another admirer of mine that I love her. She's amazing. And then on the guy side, I love Rafael Nadal. I love him. He's really good. And then there's newer players that I like now, like Yannick Sinner. Who else do I like? There's a few. Carlos Alcaraz. I like Holger. I can't Rune Holger. I like him too. He's a really good player. So yeah, there's a few of them that I like. I love tennis. It's another thing I love to watch. And that was the coping skill to be able to do that too. And music was another thing. I love music. My favorite, uh, all-time favorite is opera. I love opera. That's been always my thing is opera. My favorite um, opera singers are Andre Bocelli, and I love him. He's a great opera singer. He's a blind opera singer. He's Italian, and I admire him for how long he's been singing and been blind and for his most of his all his life. And yeah, so I give a great admirer to him too. That he's has his family now, and he's been able to sing with his voice, and that's what I mean with disabilities. They can do things. Um, like he can sing and look, he's the most popular opera singer in the world. Like he's a phenomenon, so um yeah, and I love my second one is EDM. So if you are EDM fans, I love EDM. So if you're an EDM fan too, woo woo woo, we're out here, honey. So yeah, I love music. I love to dance. So if you're at the club, Don't think I'm not gonna dance at the club because I'm one of them that's gonna dance at the club, okay, honey? Just try to tell you that too, because yeah, if you ever meet me in person, if you ever want to go to the club with me, I'm down because I love to dance at the clubs. I am all for it. I'm all for the music, honey. Um, yeah, so that's been yeah, so that was my story of, you know, um yeah, I had two different families that I had to deal with the trauma in them. Um yeah, so it was very difficult to deal with it. And this last job with the family, because I couldn't deal with it anymore when I got my handicap sticker. I just got my hearing aids. I've been on my feet. And then I got the car in my name and da da da. That was great. But the last straw was when she came into my car. And it was in my name too, in the car, in my name. And she decided to come into my car, and I got my handicap sticker because hard of hearing people are allowed to get their handicap stickers. And that's another subject I like to talk about is, that's we'll talk about that another time. But yeah, so yeah, I had my handicap sticker at the time, and I still have it. But she came into my car at the restaurant one day, and we were going to a restaurant one day. We went to the restaurant. She decided to come. She decided to there's always been remarks with them for years. Like I said, it's been years, it's been months, it's been days that I've been dealing with this trauma of them saying these things over and over and over and over to me. Why can't you hear? Why can't you just comprehend what we're saying to you the first time? Why don't you get your hearing aids? Like, you think those things all the time. It was always a constant thing, constant in your head, all the time, all the time. Just think about that every day, every hour, every minute. You talked about it was every day, every month, every year. Think about that. Thinking as a disabled child, your real parents didn't talk about that stuff. Your real mother did not say those things to you. Never said those things to me. My real parents never said that. She said to put your hearing aid on, maybe you should get your hearing aids. That was irritating to me. But with this other family, it was not like that. White family, Southern family from Kentucky would say these things to me. This other family would say these things to me. Um, so I would always hear these things, and then I would hear things about, um, you know, the government is bad and this is that, and they said you should not take these shots and da 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 da. They would talk about these things all the time to me. The government's bad, and they would talk about you shouldn't be taking these shots because maybe this is why you have autism, and maybe this is why it's affecting your life because you took these shots in your life. And so, you feel a type of way when you hear these things, right? Now you get in the story of everything. Now you can't take a shower because you're taking long showers, or not even long showers, but you should take a shower tomorrow. Um, it was like that. You can't eat this food in the house because it's just it's not your food. But am I young at the time? I don't know. Like, am I just an adult? Like, I'm not an adult yet. Like, I'm just like, whoa, this is crazy. You can't eat the food in the house. You're washing the laundry soap too much laundry soap all the time. I'd be like, what? I don't know. Like, what's the difference with the laundry soap? I don't know. Um, and yeah, so it's always like that with them. It was constant. Just think about it in your head. So, this last draw was just crazy because this last draw, we went to the restaurant, okay? And I have my handicap sticker. I have it, I have a regular handicap sticker, and I have one for my license plate. And she decides, because she knows that I have the handicap sticker now. Okay, now she knows. She tells me, I don't want you to go into the handicap stall because I feel embarrassed and I don't feel right in this car with you when you have the handicap sticker. So please do not be in the handicap because you can walk. So you need to go in a different spot. That's what she told me. Not in exact words how she told me, but that's how it sounded like that. That's what she said. So she really feel it humiliated that I had a handicap sticker. A handicap sticker of mine that has been I've been disabled my whole life. And you've been constantly telling me these things all the time. You've been constantly telling me these things my whole life. And this is the last point. I was like, no, no. So we go into the restaurant and she started talking to me. Um, and I'm like, I have to tell, she paid for the meal, it was done, whatever. But we got in a conversation after that, and I told her, I've been dealing with this for a long time, and I'm finally gonna tell you the truth about this because this is something that needs to be heard and talked about. You do not treat me this way. You do not say these things to me like this. This is not how you're supposed to say things. Um, How are you supposed to say things like this to me? This is not what you say to a disabled child. You do not tell them these horrible things how you say them to them. That's how you feel embarrassed. You feel embarrassed, you feel guilty, you feel ashamed, you feel horrible about that. Um, you feel a type of way about that. You feel horrible about yourself. You just feel like, wow, this is crazy. This happened to you. And also, I was gay at the time. Like, think about it. I was gay at the time. And that's another subject. Like, this is another subject that got plays and played. She had a son too. So not just the son, but the what the mother. So they would both say these things all the time to me. Okay, it wasn't just the son, it was the mother, it was both of them saying it. Okay, you have two people that are saying the same things over and over. You would think, whoa, this is crazy. Maybe the son would, know a little better. And, she had a great job. She was a traveling nurse. She had a great job. She had money. So the best time was when she was gone. That was the best time when she was gone because we didn't have to deal with that. She was always the fake person to people, when we went out places. But when it came into the house, it was a different scenario. You had a different scenario. You had these traumas all the time in your head. You had all of this stuff. It was not the same in the house as you would see her and perceive her out of the house. That's the same thing as the 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 sun, the same thing. It was perceived different inside the house, besides perceived outside the house as a fake person. It was not the same as people would think it would be. It was like I had to, and Noah wasn't the same. Noah had to, it was a long time I had to fight through these things. And so, yeah, they did change me a little bit in a little way. But I realized in that time that I need to change back to these ways because this is not who I am as a person. I am not gay anymore, but I do, struggle with those issues. It's hard. It's really hard to deal with them. But I'm telling you, you're not alone in this fight, you guys. You're not the only one that has to deal with these things, these lush issues. It's just not these things, occur. You're not the only one that's alone. I have addictions and dealing with this family was a lot to deal with. You have your biological family that accepts you into your life, and they had stuff they had to deal with, but they accepted me as they loved me for who I was as a gay person. They loved me for who I was as that person. They loved me. But when I went to this other home, the son came out as gay, and he went to his family, and I heard this thing about him is he said the family didn't accept me the way that I would have liked to be accepted. And that is so sad to see because you should not, and this is what happens to people is this is what happens is the family should accept you for who you are, to love you for who you are. I grew up in a Christian family. I grew up as knowing the Christian family, the values of the family. So God love, there's a point, it's the love. You're supposed to give it to them. No matter what they're going through, you love them through that. But it wasn't like that. And this other family didn't like that about this boy, the son, didn't like that he was gay at the time. Some people did, but a lot of them didn't like it. They didn't perceive it right. They didn't like it. And the mother was another factor to that. She didn't like it. She didn't like it. She didn't like it. She tore him to pieces. She tore him to pieces, but it's not going to say it like that. But I knew she tore him to pieces because of the way she acted. And finally, later on, she loved him later on. But the fact is that my parents, my own biological parents, loved me no matter what I was going through in my life. They still loved me for who I was, no matter if I had a purse to the side, no matter what it was. My parents would stick up for me the whole time no matter what. They love me for who I was. So that is the love of my family, my biological family. So if somebody is not treating you right about that, don't worry because there is somebody that's gonna love you for who you are as a person. And so yeah, I'm a Christian, I know who God is. So you are loved, okay? You're not the only one that's not loved. I know you can't trust a lot of people out there, and I have trust issues too. I don't trust lots of people out there anymore. I have my friends, my group of friends I hang out with, and they keep me straight. They keep me on the line where I can, because, and don't worry to be yourself because that's who I am. I am myself too. So you're not the only one. Just be yourself. Enjoy your life. Enjoy it. So yeah, now I'm struggling with these things now with the mental health of going through all of this trauma through your life. Um, so it's a lot. I'm going through that, and I'm just excited to be on this real trash podcast with you because that was a lot of trash in my life, but I grew from it a lot. And so yeah, this is just an exciting journey to be with you guys, and you got to know a lot about me in this intro. Also, I am a huge fan of sports too. Like I said, I like tennis, and I'm also a huge fan of football. I love football too. That's another thing I love. And yeah, it's just I love Disney music. I got it all, and I love to dance. Okay, love to dance. Okay, so I um yeah. So another last thing I want to talk about too is my mother has been a role model to my life, and that's why I give a lot of women power. And there's some women out there that are crazy. I'm like, okay, you're crazy. You're not like my mother, but I give her a lot of props for what she has gone through in my my um a lot of props for her. And she dealt with my dad's abuse. My dad would hit her all the time. They would get in fights. It was a hit. You saw these things. It's real. It's like it's a real thing. It's not fake. Like wow, your own father hit your mother. Like it was that bad. But then also my mom was sweet, but also when we would have our own little things, she would bring up things in my life that were always, you know, you were scared of my mother sometimes, because she had 911 on dial all the time. It was 911, 911, 911, 911. That was always a thing on dial, 911. You would have the cops come over to the house, something would happen. She would threaten you with these things. So it was like, it's crazy, So yeah, there's always some kind of purpose for something, and God tries to tell you things about these things. And I know there's a lot of people that don't know Him. Um, and I can understand that because it's hard. It's hard. I know it's hard out there, and it's hard to know who the heck he is. Like, it's really is, because you're like, really? Like, who is this person? Like, is he even existed? Like, he does exist. And still I have those problems too. Like, you live in the light. But if you see the darkness, but you see that light, if you can see that light, catch on to it. Catch on to it, because you're not the only one out there. Um, and so, yeah, I've had to deal with all of this in my lifetime, and now I could tell about this on my podcast. And I'm disabled and proud of who I am today as being a hard of hearing, disabled person, and also being a autism on the autistic spectrum. And I'm so glad that you get to hear my story on this. And I'm from Hawaii, the little island of Oahu. So it's just amazing that you guys get to hear my story on here. And there was one thing I needed to talk about. And the reason why I brought this up as my intro. As you can see, the intro. I forgot to talk about that one too. Is the intro part? The intro. I needed to um, describe who I was, because this is who I feel inside. Sometimes I do feel girly because I had 6 sisters in my life. So I do feel, a certain type of way. Like, that's who I was. Like, that's who I am. I like to dress up in that way sometimes. So don't feel ashamed, and that's I like to do that on Halloween, dress up. Like, that's cool to me. Like, it's cool to me. But yeah, so it's who I am. Noah is Noah. It's just the intro and just the beginning. So, welcome to my podcast. And I am just excited to see where this journey goes with this podcast. And I know sign language too, so that's another tip too. So I can sign to my deaf friend too, so that's really cool too. But I'm just so excited to be on this journey with you as a disabled podcaster, and the real life of who Noah James is. I'm just so excited to be on this journey with you, because we can talk all together in this journey. And I'm so thankful. So I hope you guys have a great rest of your day today. And yeah, happy day today. Um, and have a great Valentine's Day. I'll see you guys later on the next episode. And hopefully, there will be a podcast every week, at least one day a week. Um, and yeah, so look out for it. And surprise, surprise, now I have a podcast. Yes, I do, honey. And you can follow me on Instagram. You can follow me on TikTok. And you can follow me on YouTube. You can follow me on all of those platforms out there. I am out there. It's all the same. The Real Trash Podcast is all the same. Um, the Real Trash Podcast is my social media platform. So yeah, so hope you have a great one. Happy Valentine's Day. And I will see you guys on the next episode. Yes. Bye. Have a good one, y'all. Bye bye.